And welcome everybody to Aardvark Interviews. My name is Andrew. The Aardvark, as always, my special co-host I have today, directly from Canada. We don't know what province or borough. I don't know if they have boroughs in Canada, but no, I don't mean a mule. I mean like a section of a territory. But Kellyanne is the Canadian goose. She can actually fly, and on Halloween she's quite fast. I heard. Kellyanne, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much, Andrew, for that wonderful introduction.
How are things in Canada, Kellyanne?
Things are starting to get cold out here.
Is there a lot of violence and crime in Canada?
No, not where I'm from.
Okay. All right. All right. We have two special guests today. One of them's been on our show already. He's got a voice like Shaft or so. He's got a beautiful voice, I gotta say. He's as good looking as Richard Roundtree. You know, and we got brother Eric Harrison, his wonderful, lovely wife Carolyn Harrison. Today, we're going to take up a topic that most people don't really want to talk about. But here at Aardvark Interviews, we'll talk about anything. And usually we receive the hate mail reflecting that. Today, we're going to be talking about Penny's kids, and we're going to talk about mental health and mental illness in the Black and Brown communities. Now, this is very important. And a lot of people don't like to talk about mental health because I don't know the way I grew up in like an Irish Catholic kind of home and upbringing. It was more like you'll get over it. Uh, you know, it, it it'll change. Something new will happen or something, but it really didn't happen. Look at me now. But I want to ask you right now, Carolyn. You are involved or started an organization. Could you tell me about your organization? Is it called Penny's Kids?
Well, no, first I want to thank you for having us on the show. I so appreciate my husband's growing community and your commitment to highlighting the work being done to mitigate mental health in Black and Brown communities. I'm the founder and executive producer of Good Light Productions, which is an organization committed to creating access and opportunities for underrepresented creatives. And so Good Light it was formalized in 2016 as a part of my work to tell my own story, to revisit my family of origin narrative, and to identify the places in my story where I was stuck emotionally and spiritually. And it was my husband's great listening that helped me to gather all the pieces of myself to tell that story. I staged it in 2016, and then it was staged again in 2018 by my artistic director and creative partner, Tabitha Matthews, who's the author of Penny's Kids. It's the story of her maternal grandmother's struggle with schizophrenia in the late 60s in Detroit, and all of the systemic issues that compounded her challenges with mental health, and how she raised 5 kids. So it's the story of the beauty that came from the ashes of her life.
All right,
So
let me cut right to the chase here. It's only an hour show. What do you mean by systemic issues?
well, systemic racism, systemic uh, sexism, all the isms in our country. We know well what those isms are. And those systems that were put in place to exclude and discount people of color, specifically people of African descent, um, to limit our access to participating fully in this union. Uh, and so, things like it plays out in things like redlining, preventing people from living in communities, particularly people of color. So all of the things, the structures in place in this country that were by design created to limit access.
All right. So you think the systemic issues, this systemic racism, what we have here, which is inbuilt into the system, all right? Forget about laws we have today and this and that. There are still some whispers. Are you going to buy the house? Nah, I'm not going to sell it to. You know what I'm saying? Do you think these lead to um, an increased ratio or an increased percentage of mental illness in the Black and Brown communities?
Oh, I absolutely believe there is a connection. When you think about, and I'm going to keep going back to our country's shared history that began with the transatlantic slave trade, where people of African descent were traumatized for over 400 years. So that trauma is embedded in our genetic memory and has been a part of how we have work to survive and thrive in a country that was not set up in our favor, a country we helped to build. And so we walk around with that trauma residue in our bodies, which has increased and made us vulnerable to mental health issues.
Thank you. You know, I watch a lot of television because I'm in the business or whatever. I was watching a Law and Order episode, and the attorney was a black attorney, and he was trying to get his client off on basis of racism and this and that. It's very interesting, but he didn't win, right? But then they went outside. The DA attorney McCoy, who was white, and the black attorney, they went out like at the same time, and they both tried to hail a cab, and the cab went right past the black attorney and stopped for McCoy. So it was almost like saying, all right, he won the case, but look, it is happening right in front of your face. And I thought that's where entertainment really comes into play in a sharp and a good way. Now, where can we get this book by Tabitha Matthews? And
Yes.
what's the name of it? Let's talk about this a bit because it sounds like an important piece of work. Is there a website? What can we do about this?
Yes, you can follow Good Light Productions on all socials, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and you can find the book. So the play Penny's Kids is based on the book of the same title that was written by Tabitha Matthews' family. Her mother and her aunts and uncle wrote their family story. You can find that book and order it on pennyskidsministries.com.
Okay. While I'm writing this down, Kellyanne, you Canadian goose, do you have a question for our esteemed panel?
Yeah, actually, Carolyn, I was just wondering, how did you get a hold of this story? Like, did someone come to you?
That's a great question, Kellyanne. When I was in the process of producing my story called Precious Metals, Beauty and Brokenness, Tabitha Matthews and I became friends. I shared my story with her and I called it my ugly baby. Whenever something creative is being formed within me, I call it a creative womb, so to speak, because our creations are our children. And I shared it with Tabitha and asked for her feedback, and later invited her to direct the second staging of my show. We became friends and committed to creating an ongoing creative process together. At the end of Precious Metals' run, I invited Tabitha to share her ugly baby with me, and we switched seats. So last year, I directed the virtual live streaming production of Penny's Kids. We had intended for it to be on stage, but of course, COVID short circuited that. And this year we decided it would be back live on stage as live theater has returned in New York City. And so we've received a number of grants, encouragement from the Bronx Council of the Arts and other angel funders. And so we open previews this coming week on Saturday and Sunday. And we'll have a panel discussion with mental health professionals who are going to focus on the healing modality of the arts as it relates to mental illness.
Okay. Where are the previews going to be held?
Lehman College Studio Theater.
Lehman College Studio Theater. Where is that exactly? Do you have
That's at 250 Bedford Avenue.
250 Bedford.
It's right next to that brand new, beautiful Performing Arts Center on the Lehman College campus in the Bronx.
In the Bronx. Okay. And it's Saturday and Sunday upcoming?
Yeah, so Saturday evening at 7 will be our first preview. And then Sunday will be our first matinee preview with the panel discussion, which I highly encourage folks to try to attend. You can find the Eventbrite ticket link on any of our socials.
Eventbrite. Okay. Are you going to be streaming that as well for our scaredy cat people who don't want to go out of the house for the next 10 years, like myself?
We sure will. Yes. Yeah. Live streaming, excuse me, thanks to COVID, we have pivoted and learned to create multiple streams of access to creativity. So we'll be on stage with COVID protocols in place. And we will live stream on the 14th and on the 23rd. Okay,
so you're going to live stream the 14th and the 23rd because I definitely want to see this.
Okay, and then on November 22nd and 23rd, we'll be at a different venue. That's at the Bronx Academy of Art and Dance, also in the Bronx. Our friends Arthur Aviles, who is the founder of BAD, has been a gracious partner with us since we formalized Good Light Productions. So we've been rehearsing there, and we'll have our final shows on the 22nd and 23rd there.
Okay, and are you going to be using a streaming service or anything to get tickets or anything?
Yes, we're using the Veeps, VEEP streaming service platform for live stream, and Eventbrite for in-person tickets.
Eventbrite for in-person tickets. All right. Kellyanne, what do you think about the situation here?
Well, I think it's very interesting, and I'm kind of excited to see this. And I'm so grateful that it is live stream because I am in Canada. You said something about Your Ugly Baby. I didn't really can you tell me more about Your Ugly Baby, the precious metals?
Yes. Thank you for asking, Kellyanne. So I am the daughter of Loretta Ann Ball, who found herself pregnant at the age of 15 in Philadelphia in 1966.
Wow.
And at that time, there was all kinds of stigma attached to unwed teen women. And in the Black community, oftentimes if you found yourself pregnant out of wedlock, you got sent down south to relatives, and you would maybe return home with a child who would be identified as your younger sibling. My mother resisted that and hid the fact that she was pregnant with me until it was too late to do anything about it, and gave birth in 1967. And for many years, and that came with lots of challenges, but for many years, I felt like I missed something because my mother had her own issues, her own challenges with undiagnosed mental illness. And then in 2015, I was invited to take a second look at her life and to look for all the beautiful places. And though she did not give me the kind of mothering that I thought I should have, she gave me the number one gift, and that was a chance to exist. She gave me life.
Wow.
And so I wrote her story. My mother is, she is gone on. She's transitioned. She is with the ancestors now. But I was able to really forgive her posthumously, and my
Right.
compassion quotient for her increased. And so my play, Precious Metals, Beauty and Brokenness, is the baby that I gave birth to honor my mother's legacy, and I am her legacy, and my children are her legacy.
Is that going to be playing anywhere?
Well, it you can find clips of it. It had a life. In fact, it was an award-winning play in the New York City Summer Festival, and Tabitha directed that
Wow.
show. It will have another life. We need more angel funders to help get more our work on the stage.
Right. So can you do like a GoFundMe or something? Or
We can.
if you ever want to bring it back, that's up to you, of course.
Yes.
Eric, what do you think about the situation? You're too quiet for me, Eric, and you have such a beautiful voice.
No, I'm just I'm just a witness today and quite proud. I had a front seat to just the evolution of Carolyn and her story and her collaboration with Tabitha on this new venture. I saw them premiere it on the streaming service last year. It was awesome. Just the whole different dynamic of presenting live theater in the Zoom virtual format. And they just, hit the ground running and learned all the technology and were able to logistically put it together with people that were in different places, different states. The rehearsal of it, the staging, it was just incredible. So, I'm just sitting back and honored if any other people that know us from another venue, Andrew and I. This is the famed Mrs. Harrison. This is my better half that I always refer to. They've helped me grow and become a better husband. So this is the woman, y'all.
Wow.
And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
You're very famous. But let me ask you a question. Is this going to be streaming on the 14th and 23rd? Is that what you said?
That's correct.
Of December or November?
November. So the 14th of November and the 23rd of November.
Okay. Is this one act or two acts or three acts or what are we looking at?
It's a long one act.
Long one act. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Kellyanne? Do you like the plays? You like plays?
Oh, I love plays, and I love it when they have depth and when I can get something out of it. When I was a child, I can remember they used to have the Hallmark shows. I think it was called Hallmark, or the after school specials. And I used to rush home because I knew, okay, what is this hidden message? And I love it when I can get a message out of something. So this is really great.
All right, let me ask you a question, Kellyanne. Do they have civil rights in Canada?
Yes, of course they do.
Okay, very good. All right.
Love that in-depth questioning, Andrew. You're such a hard-hitting.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, Carolyn, I actually, when you were talked about precious metals, I wanted to say something. Like, I really hope you do try to get some life back into that. I'm a teenage mother. I was 15 when I had my first daughter in 1984. And I know the struggles that she goes through because of it. And I know, like you're saying, your mother was a teenage mother, and it still happens to this day. And I'm pretty sure people could still relate to it quite a bit. I think the doors are opening more for things like that, and there is more programs, but I think there could be way more if we have way more awareness about it.
I thank you for sharing that, Kellyanne. We believe that everybody has a story worth telling, and the more we tell our own story, the greater access to freedom, like full life, that's available for the people who witness it and hear it. So thank you for saying that out loud. And so we want to encourage other women, men, who may not have not explored their family of origin story, to interrogate it, to ask questions. And for some of us, there are still elders here on this side who have parts of our story that we would be remiss if we didn't invite them to a conversation to learn more. There's so much more that we can learn about ourselves based on the stories we hear from others.
Okay, so me, my mother brought me up without a father. Okay, I'm going to say that right now. And to us in the community, it was like shocking or a surprise or something. Now, I had a neighbor who was black, and they had the same kind of situation. And the way that white America looked at her and her situation was, well, they're black, so it just happens like that. Now, even as a young kid, I would hear these things and I would say, what is this? This is some shit here you're giving me,
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't that way. I mean, I was an athlete growing up. I played basketball, baseball. I relied on people, my teammates. If you're in a sport, you understand you rely on your teammates, whatever color they are. That doesn't matter. They're on the team. So, I grew up a different way, but the amount of racism that I grew up around me was suffocating. I must say
Mm-hmm.
that. I must say
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. Andrew, as you were sharing that, it put me in mind of the 60s. There was a congressional report. I can't recall the name of the congressman, and Eric might, the Monahan report,
Yeah.
where he single-handedly blamed Black women leading homes as single parents for the demise of the Black community. And so, just thinking about just again the systems that worked against us. Teen moms and single parent homes were not just run by Black women. It was impacting every culture, every race. But there were certain things that were set up to prevent us from thriving, even attitudes, outside attitudes, perceptions that, you know, uh, just a lot, any number of things, and you can pick them.
all right, so I'd like to say it's gotten better. Okay, maybe it has, but I still see black people screaming harder to get the same rights as white people, and white people screaming they don't have to scream as hard. Let's put it that way. Um, we just had an event in New York City where a woman who lives in California attacked prominent jazz musician's son because she thought that he had stolen her cell phone with no evidence at all, just the fact that he was black. Now, this got a lot of attention, of course, because he was a prominent jazz musician. If he was just black, and I'm saying that right now, just black, it probably wouldn't have gotten no attention. Do you agree with that statement?
I would love to hear my husband's input on that statement.
What do you think, Eric? Give me some shit here. Come on.
Okay.
Lay it
Yeah.
out. Lay it out, brother.
I wish I could recall the name of the musician. I do believe I remember that story, uh, where she had actually left her phone in an Uber,
Yes.
and they retrieved her phone later, but they detained him. And it's so much easier for our rights to be suspended, especially if people of no color, aka white folks, accuse people of color of doing something. So this may be 2021, but the dynamics, the interactions, the profiling, the labeling, the presumptions, they are, we talk about that 400-year, marker, but some of the same things you talked about it being infecting and suffocating. you know yes, things have changed, but the heart hasn't changed.
Mm.
People still don't respect the humanity of everyone as human.
Yeah.
People still have assumptions and projections that allow you to be less human. And that's what it's really all about, trying to identify us all of our humanity. And it's been such a struggle. And I'm on the back nine of this life thing, and it's hard to get a little discouraged. But we've been exposed to a little spirituality and believing that the spirit will prevail, that love at some point somehow prevails. So we got to keep the faith for our kids and grandkids. But damn, it gets hard.
Okay, the
Saying
woman's name was Maya Ponsetto.
right.
I want to get
What
her
was the
name right. I don't want her to
okay.
sue me because I got her name wrong. She is white,
Yeah.
Maya Ponsetto, and today she was brought up on charges
Mm,
in
Oh,
the court
finally.
system.
mm.
So they had deported her back from California, back to New York. New York had to ask to get her ruddy ass back to New York. And California said, we don't want her either. Bitch out of here. So they sent her back here. And today she was brought up on charges endangering the welfare of a child and some other stuff. So seeing her in handcuffs on TV was not a bad thing
Mm.
in my
Mm.
afternoon break with my tea and croissants.
Yeah.
Kellyanne, do you like tea?
Oh, I love tea. Tea
I
is
thought
my
you.
favorite thing.
All
Yes.
right.
Tea with a lot of frothed milk on it. And yes.
But why is this getting such big attention? When it probably happens more than just once. There you go. What
Yeah.
do you think, Carolyn? What
Well,
do you
I
think?
think you are heading in the right direction. There's this perception of privilege that when you have arrived at privilege and power, I think that's what may be at work. So this prominent, and I don't know the specifics of the case or the issue, but you have more power and you can amplify a message. And frankly, we're primed in this country to focus on how often these injustices occur. It's in the water we're drinking and swimming in. I wonder if the same is true in Canada. I'd be interested to hear Kellyanne's perception of race relations and the dichotomies of racism in Canada.
What do you think, Goose? Can you answer that question?
Well, for me, I'm going to say I haven't experienced much racism. Comparing to the US, like when I hear things that happen in the US, I am just at awe of some of the dealings. And I know there is still racism here. It may be a little bit more towards the natives, but it's I find it crazy, the difference. Like just recently, I traveled all over the United States, and even like seeing things like the homelessness, the way the homeless people are treated in the United States comparing to here is day and night.
Hmm.
And I was just taken aback, like how it's just completely ignored. Like in my city, I'm from Edmonton. We do not see homeless people, and I'm not gonna like we are a
Wow.
colder climate, but we do not see homeless people in the street and like these tent cities and stuff like that. We just do not have that in my city. We have so many programs in place and so many food options, and like there is a pretty good system, not perfect, but comparing to some of the cities I've been to, it's day and night.
Right. And you just visited the United States recently. I know
Just
that. So,
recently.
right. So this isn't like from 1882, her experience here. So, but this brings up a valuable question. Do you think, Carolyn, brother Eric, that there is more mental illness in the Black and brown communities than there is in the white communities? Because maybe as an outlaying of these things that are happening all around. That, you know, if you're called if you're called a slut, if you're called a loser, if you're called a hoe, if you're called whatever, for so long you're going to start believing some of this stuff, you know. So do you think that the racism, I don't know what the statistics are, maybe you do, between black, brown, mental illness, and white, say Caucasian. Do you have any stats on that or a percentage?
No, I don't have the stats at my fingertips, Andrew, but this is what I'll say, and it goes back to my original comment. People of African descent were predisposed. Being a human being makes you vulnerable in any context. It is challenging to be a human being on the planet, and we are all at risk, depending on where we come from, to different diseases, emotional or spiritual or physical. People of African descent have been put at greater risk. So it's been compounded because of the historical atrocities that we have survived. And not only have we survived, we have been thriving despite the challenges. And so, you know, I would suspect that the percentages are higher. But when we look at ourselves now in this major global crisis, mental illness is impacting all of us at an exponential rate. People of color have been challenged by getting the help we need because of all of the other stigmas that go with that. Our therapy, places for therapy, Eric and I just saw a wonderful play called Thoughts of the Colored Man. And one of the characters says, always remember that the barbershop and the beauty shop were our first sanctuaries, our first places to go, because it was a place where we didn't have to shift and become, we could be our whole selves when we walked into those communities to share what was troubling us. But going into formal counseling is a huge hurdle, because generally speaking, people of color did not value talking to strangers about inside stuff. We are coming around to that. We're turning the bend. So that was my long answer to say we are predisposed with a higher hurdle to climb.
Okay, so what is the mission of Perry's Kids? Tell me.
We want people to hear this story and see themselves in it. Any one of us, any one of our mothers at any time in history could have found themselves single parenting 5 children in Detroit it's set in 1967 in Detroit at the height of racial unrest.
Yeah.
And this woman, her given name is Bessie Oliver. This woman was fighting a battle in her mind and outside of her home and in her home. And we want people to understand and have their compassion quotient increase so that they will, the next time they see a woman with 5 children and maybe it's a parent that she's struggling to provide for them, they will pause before they judge her. They will perhaps ask the question, not what happened or not what's wrong with her, but what happened to her that she finds herself in this predicament.
Yeah.
And then the solution to that is what Eric referred to as this: love is the greatest weapon we have. So what does it look like to become a part of the solution of what makes it right? So we want our audiences to leave with those questions. Pause, ask what happened and how can I be a part of the solution?
Okay, so how can you be a part of the solution?
I'm doing my part now. I'm amplifying this story. I would ask this panel, what else can we offer to be a part of righting what is wrong?
All right, now Eric brought up something that got me thinking a little bit. about in your heart. Now, you could take the N word out of a script, but you can't take it out of people's hearts a lot of times. There was a movie called The Godfather years ago. And there was a scene where they were deciding to sell drugs or not to sell drugs because Vito Corleone didn't want to lose his protection with police. And if he started selling drugs, so they made an agreement that they would only sell drugs in the black neighborhoods. And then they closed it by saying they're animals anyway. Now, this is in the 70s. Do you think this mindset still goes on with people in 2021? They're animals anyway, is the direct quote.
That's for you, honey.
Well, yeah, you know, of course.
I'm sorry if I'm asking a lot of personal questions that may get you to smash a wall later, but
No, it's okay. I forgot to warn Carolyn that you are a comedian first and foremost. So these hard hitting questions always with a tinge of humor, but it's serious.
it's,
Okay.
it's serious.
Yeah, just even like you know, seeing people as the other
The other.
allows you to call them animals. When you really, in your heart of hearts, do not recognize that they are a spiritual being just like you, so that you can just dismiss the fact that they're a child of God just like you. Of course, black folks, descendants of Africans that came to this country, were the first others. Well, actually, the indigenous people are the first others, the Indians, who were about to celebrate Thanksgiving. It's such an irony, that we have to set aside the fact that it was brought on the genocide of millions of people. But of course, it's Thanksgiving because the Pilgrims were able to survive. But the hell with the millions of people that died. But anyway, that's an aside. Now we talk about the people that are crossing the border into America because of some of the things that America did to disorient and destabilize South America. So the people are starving and coming here, and now they're the other. So you're willing to put them in cages and take their children from them. Just these things that we accept as policy. And no, these are breathing human beings. And until we start to see anyone who looks on the sun and the stars every night and every morning the same that we do as humans, just like us, that's the message, so
That's right.
Got to keep coming.
That's beautiful, Eric. You're a beautiful man. Kellyanne, do you have any questions? Do you have the 3 questions?
Oh, yes, I do have 3 questions. Okay, I will start with, I guess the first one I'll direct it towards Carolyn. We all know the saying that God is the bread of life. My question to you is, what is your bread of choice? Would it be multigrain or sourdough?
That's a good one. Does it have to be either or?
No.
No, it could be either. Those are my 2 favorite.
Here's what I'll say. As long as there's butter, Kellyanne, I'll take both.
Ooh, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. Okay, question 2. Okay, I guess like life is pretty challenging, and we know it's challenging, and we have like mini crisis in life all the time. Like I'm gonna say, we get a flat tire when we're running late to go to a meeting, or I don't know, we miss the turn on the freeway and whatnot. So my question to you, Eric, would be, how do you keep your serenity in when we have these mini crises? Like, would you like what would be your mantra or short prayer that you would say to yourself quickly to keep your serenity?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's pretty
That's
packed.
the challenge.
Let's go back to the bread question.
That's a challenge. I lost my serenity this morning with an Uber driver that insisted on going to an exit that I told him I wanted to go to a different exit, and I kind of lost it because I'm a notorious backseat driver, uh, and one of the principles that I try to live by is, I am not driving the car. It's difficult to drive from the back seat. So one of my mantras is just to breathe, and the serenity prayer always works. Hence, grant God greater serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The fact that this man is going to insist on going in the exit that he wants to go. The courage to change the things I can, which is just to be silent and surrender in this moment, and the wisdom to know the difference. When I really am powerless over my feelings and emotions, and I ask the spirit, the higher power, God, whatever you want to call it, something bigger than me to guide me in that moment. Because it only takes a moment to lose your mind or your life.
Yeah.
So thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah.
Wow, that's a great answer. I wasn't expecting such a great answer.
That was
Okay,
deep.
question number 3. We'll go back to Carolyn. So I'm going to go to soul food. I'm Canadian. So to me, my go-to or my soul food is like a grilled cheese sandwich and a bowl of warm soup. But it's Canada and it's cold out here. So what is your go-to or your soul food?
Well, so my literal soul food is during the pandemic, I learned to cook collard greens in a way that would make my grandmother proud, I think. We got fresh greens from a community garden every week. And so I've created my own recipe for collard. It's about 6 different greens, and that is a comfort. And also black bean soup. And so I think I kept Eric and our son well fed. So that's the literal soul food.
Black bean soup.
And then I do a lot of reading of the desert mothers and fathers. And so people like Teresa of Avila, who is a Spanish contemplative, and Thomas Keating, who helped to create centering prayer for 12-step programs. And so my book companions also feed me as well.
Wow, that was great. Thank you so much for your answers.
Okay, if any of our viewers have any questions for the panel, please don't hesitate, and we can have a short question and answer period. I'm excited to see the play, Wendy. So are we. Could you repeat those times or what it was again? Because the Aardvark is getting older, and he can't remember shit no more. So, excuse my French. Excuse me.
That's all right. I'm happy to. So this coming Saturday and Sunday at Lehman College, Saturday night at 7, and Sunday matinee at 3 p.m. and November 22nd and 23rd at Bronx Academy of Art and Dance, both venues in the Bronx. The arts in the Bronx are experiencing a cultural renaissance, and we want to make the Bronx a destination place for live theater. And so we are contributing to that renaissance. So on the 22nd and 23rd of November, both those shows are at 7 p.m. You can find tickets on our website, goodlightproductions.com, or follow us on all socials on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And honestly, it would be a tremendous support if you help to amplify our work. So follow us on socials and invite 10 of your friends to do the same.
Did you know, Carolyn, that Kellyanne was voted the queen of TikTok one year?
I did that. Yeah. So you're TikTok famous, Kellyanne. All right.
She had videos that were just mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Is there anything else you want to in our little section called Shameless Promotions. Shameless Promotions. Shameless Promotions. What would you like to talk about?
No, I really appreciate having this opportunity, this support to help get the word out. Sometimes when you're doing something new, it can be really scary, but it's something you can't not do. And then when others affirm it, it just gives you courage to keep going. And we believe these are all important stories. And we want to thank you for helping to create awareness.
Okay, what if there are people out there who'd like to contribute? Where can they go to contribute to Good Light or Penny?
They can Venmo Good Light Productions, and they can buy tickets or make donations. We have sponsorship through Fractured Atlas, and you can find that link on our website as well.
Fractured Atlas. Okay. Kellyanne, the Canadian Goose Goddess, do you have any final questions for our wonderful, wonderful, and learned and very creative guest, Carolyn Harrison, tonight?
Well, Carolyn, I want to say it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you, and it's great. I love your message that you've already given me, is like when you step out of your box, I guess, your comfort zone. And a big thing I took away was how you talked about pause and then judge with kindness and love. I'm going to take away so much out of this podcast today, and I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Kellyanne.
Okay, so that's the Aardvark interviews for today. Sensational show. Thank you for coming on, Carolyn Harrison.
Thank you, Andrew.
I think your cause is righteous, and I've learned so much today. Things that I had considered now, are even more the rubber stamp is put on upon these things. So. I know my soul is going straight to hell, but maybe who knows? Maybe there's hope yet. Kellyanne, what do you think?
You're still here, Andrew.
There's definitely still hope.
I had an argument with a woman once, and she said to me, "You're going straight to hell." Is there hope for the Aardvark?
There's always hope.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Hit me up on Patreon. I got to start paying Kellyanne some money. This is terrible. Aardvark interviews. She's been so kind, Kellyanne. Hit up Carolyn Harrison at the Good Light. What's the name of it?
GoodLightProductions.com.
Good Light Productions. And see the play. I'm going to see the play myself. I may see it because I'm afraid to go out, but I may see it in the comfort of my home, but I will see this play. And I'm gonna say, go see the play. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. I look forward to hearing back your responses. I'd love to get feedback.
I can't wait. It should be sensational. Thank you for coming aboard. Thank you, Kellyanne, as always, talking about Canada and grilled cheese. The two things I love the most.
Well, thank you for having me, Andrew. I absolutely love coming here.
And what's the name of the production company?
Good Light Productions.
No, our production company.
Oh, your production.
Yeah. Hello, Hooray.
That's her only job in the show, even though now she does everything. She has great questions. Great. When I die, which who knows, maybe soon, I'm going to give the show to Kellyanne.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone.
So good to be with you all. Thank you.
Thank you for putting the word out. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Mm-hmm. And thanks to all our listeners. Aardvark interviews every Monday at 5:30 p.m.